Hi, it's Prisha, and as you read in the title, people paid me money to see my face. It all started one day when two men came to my house and grabbed my hand by force. I tried to fight it, but no one would listen. One of the men said, "I don't know why she is complaining about this. It's not like they are torturing her." And the other man replied, "She's to be set like a queen. How spoiled she is." These words did not comfort me. I wasn't flattered, and I definitely was not ready for any of these alleged privileges I was about to have. I wanted them to let me go. I heard my parents in the background saying, take her, she knows nothing." The men put me in the carriage. I was shivering, not of cold, but of anger. Why can't they understand that I don't want this position? And what about my parents offering me like a scapegoat? What the hell? I didn't have a chance to catch my breath. They took me to a temple. Some girls took care of me. They washed me, made me wear red clothes, put dozens of heavy necklaces around my neck, and tied my hair like a knot. Then they put makeup on my face, which made me look like a doll. The eyeliner was so long it could reach the US. After that, I was placed on a chair. An old woman came and put a red sticker on my forehead, and in an instant, the priests who were around me, gasped and bowed before me. What? What just happened? The old woman said, "Meet your new goddess." She started mumbling some words. They were prayers, I guess. Then I was sent out. 4 men were holding my chair up so everyone could see me. The horrible news came after this ceremony. Dad told me strictly that I had become the new goddess, so I mustn't speak to anyone outside the family. I won't be going to school soon, and my feet shouldn't touch the ground, which means that I wouldn't be able to walk. What? What about my friends, my school, my life? I screamed at him, "Dad, I told you I want nothing to do with this." But he just said in a threatening voice, "I can't touch you because you are sacred now. But if you say this again, I will punish you." So I kept quiet. The next day, Dad held me and took me to the temple. People came to worship me and get my blessings. My blessings! Me, the little girl who was afraid to disobey her father, is believed to have superpowers. What the hell? Were they crazy? But I just had to go along with it. I had to perform the practices they wanted me to do, and I had to stay motionless while doing so. I couldn't smile or laugh. I was basically a statue. People started giving me gifts: money, clothes, flowers, toys, food, and sometimes alcohol, and I had to take them to show that the gods had accepted their gifts. At that point, it became clear to me why my parents forced me to do this. They needed the money. We were very poor, and this was my parents' chance to have a comfortable life. The government paid them a monthly allowance because they were taking care of a goddess, and they were taking anything people were offering me. I became so angry. I was their cash cow now. This was not the life I chose or wanted to live. Escaping was not an option. I was young, and I knew that Dad or the men working on the temple would catch me fast. If you can't beat 'em, join 'em. I came up with a plan. I told my sister to tell everyone, apart from my parents, I would pray more for them if they paid money. The higher the number, the more I prayed. I also told them to put money near my feet so it is easier for me to get to them. It worked. I started hiding the money in my chamber. There was also this guy who apparently fell in love with me. He came every day to get my blessings, and he gave me a huge amount of money. I felt sorry for him. I didn't want him to waste his money. So one day, when we were alone in the room, I talked to him. I told him, "You know I'm not a goddess. This is fake." He was stunned. He couldn't believe that I talked to him. But he replied, "No, you are a goddess. Don't you see how beautiful you look?" "I'm not a goddess." "Yes, you are." "I'm not." "Yes, you are." The whole conversation seemed pointless. If he's insisting to be fooled, then so be it. I'll take everything he offered. After a while, my older sister suggested that we put the money in a bank. That way, Dad wouldn't be able to find it. So every day at night, I would hand her what people had offered me, and she would put it in the bank. It was like that for a while until one morning, I woke up to my parents screaming. My sister had left the house. I knew it in my gut that she stole all the money in the bank. I felt betrayed. Why did she do that? I trusted her. I thought we would leave this together. For 2 days, I refused to go out. I pretended to be sick. I needed to think of some other plan to get the hell out of here. People thought it was a bad omen for the goddess to get sick, but I didn't care. I needed to think of a way to get out. Then it hit me in the face. I need to lie. I told my parents that I had some dreams about an earthquake coming. I lied to them, of course. They freaked out and told the priests about it. The priests warned the people to get out of the village. They actually fell for it. They thought I could predict such a thing. What were they thinking? I was the weather woman? My parents decided to leave too. They put everything they had in boxes, put me in a carriage, and left. We moved to the nearest city in the middle of the day, and of course, they took me to the nearest temple. But I just couldn't take it anymore. Blessing people, not being able to talk or walk or make friends, it was all too much. At night, I put the little money I had in a little bag. I changed the ugly dress and I sneaked out. I got to the nearest train station. It was old and rusty. I was scared. After all, that was the first time in 2 years to be outside the temple. I saw people buying tickets. I bought a ticket for the first train leaving and went. The train took me to another city. When I left, I got off and bought myself some food. I was mesmerized by everything I was seeing. The people, the buildings, the cars, and everything around. Morning came. I had to look for a place to stay. The little money I had was not enough to keep me out of the streets. I asked people about an orphanage and went there. I found a nice young woman who asked me about who I was. I lied and told her that my parents left me alone and I had no one I could live with. I told her that my name was Jaya. She told me I could live there as long as I behaved well, but she has to inform the authorities that a new girl was enlisted in the orphanage. Life was bad there. We didn't have enough food. We only got used clothes and managed with the donations people gave us. But people there were nice. No one was worshiping me now or offering me gifts, but I had time to do whatever I want and be by myself. The orphanage was only for girls. After having our poor breakfast, we would go to school and then go back and help clean the orphanage. Sometimes we would go out with our caretakers for short visits in town. Life was simple, but after I turned 17 years old, I started to worry. In a year, they would ask me to move out because I would legally be able to get a job. Where would I go? I thought about it a lot when one day, when we were buying groceries, I saw my sister. She changed a lot since the last time I saw her, but I could still recognize her face easily. She was walking with a man and a child. I was furious. I've been living in this miserable life while she was having a life of her own, happy, married with a child. I called her by name and she was shocked to see me. She looked at her husband and mumbled some words. He took the young boy and left, so we were left alone. Our meeting was not nice. I was angry and she was arrogant enough not to admit that she had done something wrong. I asked for my money back. She said she does not have it, but she'll give me some money and get me a job so I can manage. I started working as a secretary for a company. The company would send girls to work as maids in foreign countries. I always wondered why so many girls were interested in this kind of job. I mean, it was all about cleaning and home chores, but when I heard about how much money they were making, I wanted to go too. Why wouldn't I? I have no family here. I applied for the job, and because my boss liked me so much, he managed to find me a good family within a month. I traveled with all my belongings, money, my passport, personal documents, and my clothes all in one suitcase. And just like that, I was the maid of a wealthy family. I had my own room, I worked 5 days a week and got 2 days for myself. They offered me food and even bought me clothes sometimes. So the salary I got was all for me and I could do whatever I want with it. Things were getting better until one of the family's boys fell in love with me. He saw me as the most beautiful girl he had ever met. He wanted to marry me. His family, particularly his mom, was not excited for it. But after they saw how determined he was, they gave in. I was over the moon. This meant the end of my misery. I was no longer a maid, and I was about to have a family. We married and lived in a big house. It was all peachy and rosy in the beginning. He loved me and bought me everything I asked for and everything I needed. I got pregnant, and I was ready to have a baby when my husband died in a terrible car accident. Life became gloomy again. What the hell was I supposed to do now? My son's grandfather assured me that he'll keep taking care of me and give me an allowance, but I wanted more. I didn't want to go back to the poor life I had. I needed to secure myself. So after I gave birth, I started my own business. I founded a cleaning company. I would bring girls and women from my own country to work at other people's houses. It was a good business, and soon I became rich and I could live comfortably again. 2 years later, however, I saw my sister's name on the applicants' list to work. I couldn't believe my eyes. Something in me felt good. I thought she was finally getting what she deserved. I sent her an approval letter and paid for her flight. When she saw her new boss, she went pale. She didn't expect it to be me, and she didn't expect me to have all that I had. She told me that both her husband and child got sick, and she had to pay all she got for their treatments to the hospitals. Unfortunately, nothing could save them, and they died. She was left alone, just like I did many years ago. I wanted to take revenge, but I couldn't. I gave her a job, and now she is working for me. She's trying hard to get closer to me. I don't want to for the time being, but who knows what will happen in the future.
I know everyone thinks that their family is weird, but let me tell you about all the crazy stuff that happened to me last year. Then you'll realize that your family is probably pretty normal. I'm Ellie, and I'm just a regular 17-year-old girl. I live with my mom, Carol. My dad died when I was young, so it's always just been my mom and we're really close. One day, about a year ago, I needed to find some old clothes for a school project. I was studying textiles and needed some old clothes to upcycle. My mom was out, so I couldn't ask her for any, but I thought there might be some in the attic. I hadn't been up there before, and I was surprised how much stuff there was. I found lots of boxes of her old stuff. As I was looking, I found some old photo albums. I opened one and had a look through. It was pictures of Mom when she was young, only a bit older than me. It was so cool to see these pictures. I'd never seen them before, and Mom never spoke about life before I was born. I wondered why she kept the album in the attic instead of the house. Then I saw some pictures of when she was pregnant. It was weird. She looked much younger in the pictures than I thought she would be. She was 41 when she had me, yet here she only looked about 20. Then I realized she must have had a baby many years before she had me. I turned the page and saw a picture of her holding a baby dressed in pink, but it wasn't me. There were pictures of this baby growing up, and as a child, I had an older sister. By now, I had forgotten all about finding old clothes. I took the photo albums out from the attic and carried on looking through them. When Mom came home, I confronted her with the albums. When she saw them, she looked so shocked. She started shouting at me for snooping through her things. I asked her if she had a baby before me, and she said yes. Before I was born, she had a girl called Melanie, who was her first child. She lived here until she was 18. Then Melanie did something terrible and ran away from home. That was the last time Mom had seen her. Mom grounded me for going through her things and said she would never talk about Melanie again. But I couldn't believe I had a big sister, and Mom had never told me. I was so angry at my mom that I didn't talk to her for ages. I kept thinking about what Melanie could have done to make her run away. Maybe she was an arsonist or a shoplifter, but whatever it was, I couldn't believe it was so bad that Mom had never told me that she existed. I had a right to know. A few days later, Mom was cooking dinner, and I mustered up the courage to ask her more about my sister. But when I mentioned her, Mom got so angry she knocked the pan of spaghetti all over the floor. She shouted at me to go away and to stop asking questions. I ran to my room and locked myself in. I realized that if I wanted to find Melanie, then I would have to do it myself. I went onto the computer and searched for Melanie Harding. I found loads of Facebook profiles of people with that name. I scrolled through the pictures looking for the right one. Then I saw her. She had blonde hair and the same bluey gray eyes that both Mom and I have. It was her. It took me a while, but I managed to drum up the courage to send her a message. Hey, my name is Ellie. I'm looking for a Melanie that I'm related to. I wondered if that is you. I would like to get in touch. I pressed send. The next day, I kept checking my phone to see if she had seen it. It said that she had read the message, but she didn't respond. I felt so weird. Why wouldn't she want to get in touch with me? Then late the next night, I got a message back. Hi, yes, I'm that Melanie. I'm sorry I've never been in touch. I just thought it would be easier for everyone that way. Anyway, I hope you are well and happy. M. I was so pleased that she responded. Over the next few weeks, we sent messages back and forth, talking about each other's lives. She told me that she worked as a receptionist at a doctor's office in the next town. She lived with her boyfriend, Mike, and 2 cats. We had loads in common. We both loved strawberry ice cream and Disney films, and we both hated spiders. I didn't talk to her about our mom or ask why she left, with the conversation being so good. I didn't want to rush into anything serious, even though I was dying to know. Then one day, Mom found out. I had left my phone downstairs in the kitchen, and Mom had seen a message from Melanie pop up on my phone. She shouted at me for going behind her back and threatened to ground me. But I shouted back and told her that she shouldn't have lied to me and that she was a terrible mom. I grabbed my bag and stormed out of the house. I knew where I had to go. I wanted to find Melanie, so I caught a bus to the next town to find her. I didn't know the name of the doctor she worked for, so I just went from one office to another asking about Melanie. Then I walked into one and saw a woman on the phone. She looked like an older version of me. It was her. I stood in a corner and waved to her. I thought that she would be pleased to see me, but when she realized who I was, she looked scared. When she got off the phone, she walked up to me and asked me what I was doing at her workplace. I told her that I wanted to surprise her. She told her colleagues that she was taking a break, and she took me to a coffee shop down the road. When she sat down, she told me that I shouldn't have come looking for her. I felt so crushed. I couldn't believe that I had found out I had a sister, only for her not to want anything to do with me. I asked her why she left, and she said it was because she knew that Carol would be a much better mom than she could have been. I wasn't expecting her to say that. I stood up, knocking my chair over. People in the cafe turned and looked at what was going on, but I didn't care. Wait, I don't understand. Does this mean you're actually my mom? I shouted out. Oh my God, what do you mean? Melanie said. She tried to get me to sit down so she could explain. I don't think she wanted to make a scene, but I didn't care. I shouted at her to answer my question. Yes, she said. I'm your real mom. I don't get it. I shouted back at her. My mom's Carol. Melanie shook her head and told me the truth. Carol is actually her mom, not mine. I couldn't believe it. The woman I thought was my mom all my life was in fact my grandma? I don't believe you. I screamed as I ran out of the cafe crying. I ignored Melanie running after me. I never wanted to see her again. I caught the bus home in tears. Why would Melanie say such a horrible lie? When I got home, I saw a police car outside of my house. Oh my gosh! While I was out, something had happened to my mom. The front door was open, and I ran inside to see a policeman in the lounge, and my mom sat on the sofa crying. I ran in and gave her the biggest hug and asked her what was wrong. She told me that she was so worried about me running away, she had called the police. Oh, when the police realized everything was okay, they left. Mom and I had a long talk that evening. I told her what Melanie told me, hoping Mom would tell me it was all a lie. But she shook her head and cried. She said, I was now old enough to learn the truth about our family. She told me that when Melanie was a teenager, she had gotten involved with the wrong people and had got addicted to drugs. She had even stolen money from her. She moved in with her friends, and Mom hardly ever saw her and couldn't help her. Then one day, Melanie turned up on her doorstep with me. I was only a few days old. Melanie said she couldn't cope with me, so she left her with Mom. That was the last time Mom saw Melanie. I couldn't believe Mom had lied to me. I finally able to forgive Mom for lying to me for all these years. I realized that even though my birth mom couldn't be a good mom to me, my grandma was the best mom anyone could ever wish for. There was no way I would still be mad at her. My relationship with my birth mom is still developing. She apologized for how harsh she was to me in the past, and she promised me that she hasn't taken drugs for a long time. Letting her in my life wasn't easy, but I can't say that I'm not happy that I met her. Not only that, but my mom has let her in too, and they're making up for the time they lost together. I could see from the way she behaves that she regrets the past, and she's trying hard to regain our trust. Today, I am sharing this story with both of their support as they're sitting beside me. I love them both, and I understand that circumstances were not in their favor in the past. If anything, I try to stay positive and think of my story as the girl who gained 2 moms in her life.